Good evening, folks. We are so glad to have you with us once again. It is 6 o'clock, and that means it is now time for our English Flash News Edition. I'm Daniel Cook, your host 6 days a week for the translated version of the Albanian news in the language that you can understand. 2 days before arriving in Tirana, the new U.S. ambassador has decided to address the people of Albania, speaking in their own native language. The new ambassador, Donald Liu, introduced his family and told of how he went from being a simple immigrant to a successful man. He expressed his support for the Albanian nation in creating democratic institutions, as well as Albania's integration process. In his video, Mr. Liu spoke about his love for the nature in Albania and said that his first destination when he arrives will be Dajti Mountain. The new U.S. ambassador will arrive on Sunday afternoon to begin his 3-year diplomatic mission. The European Parliament member Knut Fleckenstein has said that if the opposition had decided not to return to Parliament, the nation's candidate status might have been jeopardized. He made the following statement today. If the Democratic Party did not return to Parliament, Brussels may have thought that awarding the candidate status was a mistake. The government must carry out its responsibilities, and the opposition must be constructive. They must work together, he said. The German MEP said that politics and the civil society need to cooperate to move the integration reforms forward. He continued, the political groups need to cooperate to achieve integration. The 5 priorities for integration must be met: the reform of the public administration, the strengthening of the rule of law, the fight against corruption and organized crime, and the protection of rights and freedoms. What I have seen so far is very promising. In fact, the government has started to implement the laws. Mr. Fleckenstein clarified his purpose of his second mission here in Tirana, distinguishing it from his first mission at the end of 2014. During that visit, he was playing the role of an arbitrator in Albanian politics. Even without the stalemate in the assembly, Albania could have been faced with another boycott in regard to the local elections. The territorial reform puts the participation of the Democratic Party in question. Mr. Fleckenstein went on, Basha is a smart man. He did not talk much about the issue of local elections. I am not here in the role of an arbitrator, and if a party does not want to participate in elections, they are free to make that choice. The Constitutional Court is explicit on this issue. I really hope that all parties will participate, as it is the parties that constitute the country's democracy. Finally, Fleckenstein advised Albania to move towards the next step of integration, which is the opening of negotiations. There are no deadlines, he said. The Parliament itself will determine the timeline. If you meet the requirements, we are ready to open negotiations. It is the responsibility of this country, of the politicians, of civil society, to transform this country. We want you to be in the EU, said Mr. Fleckenstein. After the gang-related assassination attempts a few days ago, the accusations are flying in Albania's political realm. The Democratic Party has accused Emiliano Shulazi of threatening the Democratic Party chairman Lulzim Basha after he left the police department. The Democratic Party has laid the blame for this at the Prime Minister's feet. This is the statement released by the party. What is the agreement that you, Mr. Rama, have made with Emiliano Shulazi? Did you let him free in order to make him obey you? Did you let him go free to threaten the opposition's leader? Mr. Rama, you should give answers to these questions that are clearly not only accusations, but also proof of your relation to this gang. According to the General Secretary of the Democratic Party, Arben Ristani, Shulazi has benefited from favors from the Prime Minister Edi Rama, being allowed to move freely around Tirana even though he was part of a criminal event. The clash between the gangs in Tirana and the assassination attempt against Emiliano Shulazi have turned into a fierce political debate between the Democratic Party and the Prime Minister Edi Rama. A few days ago, Mr. Rama accused the Democratic Party MP Alfred Paloka of libel because of his claims on this issue. The Prime Ministry reacted to these accusations by saying that a lawsuit is going to be brought against the Democratic Party General Secretary, Arben Ristani. Mr. Rama announced that Ristani will be denounced for libel, just like Poloka was. According to the Prime Ministry, the two Democratic officials are trying to connect the government to the criminal world and are trying to use this criminal incident against the government. The Prime Ministry said in its announcement that this requires criminal investigation and that the Albanians deserve to know the truth after these accusations by the opposition. The statement said that Prime Minister Edi Rama is willing to leave his office if a single piece of evidence is found to back up this story. The government has prepared a package of proposals to change the Electoral Code as the local elections draw nearer. Aura News has obtained a copy of the draft law, which contains changes that arise from the new territorial division in Albania. The new territorial map divides the country into 61 municipalities, out of 365 local units that there were previously. The government has requested the removal of the term commune and the title head of commune, as the territory will now be divided into municipalities. Because the new division has some very large municipalities, the government proposes splitting the municipalities that have more than 80,000 citizens. For Tirana, the largest municipality in the country, it is proposed that it be split up into more than one electoral area. The current Electoral Code orders the local units to prepare for the local elections in 2015. However, most of the current units are contesting the new division, and they are not motivated to perform their task, thinking that they might be able to sabotage the preparation of the elections. New data released by Instat indicates that there were some positive economic indicators during the third period of 2014. Despite the fact that inflation has decreased in Albania in recent months, the data for the third quarter of 2014 shows that there was some economic growth. Instat has publicized a report showing that economic growth for the third quarter of 2014 increased by 3.3%. The Albanian economy has experienced positive growth in the third quarter, even though the inflation has been lower than the rates established by the Bank of Albania. The director of Instat said that the third quarter of 2014 had a 3.3% increase compared to the third quarter of 2013. Also during that time frame, an increase in the construction sector was noted. The construction sector had been struggling for some time, and according to the director of Instat, this improvement was the result of public investments. The transportation sector continues to post negative numbers and has done so for several consecutive quarters. The Vice Minister of Economic Development, Trade and Enterprise, Ervin Meta, said that these results confirm that the economic growth for 2014 was at about 2%. The Environmental Inspectorate has warned the oil-producing company Armo that it must take measures to stop the pollution that it is causing. Otherwise, their license to operate may be revoked. After conducting an analysis, the Environmental Inspectorate did find high levels of pollution, especially in the Janica River. Meanwhile, the company executives have remained silent throughout the course of this scandal. The Environmental Inspectorate has given the company a fine of 10 million lek, and they will continue to monitor their activity. If the Armo Oil Company does not take measures to cease their pollution of the river Janica, their license to operate will be at risk. The director of the inspectorate in Fier, Agron Basholi, says that the company is dumping its wastewater into the environment. He says that there will be further inspections to come to see whether they continue to do so. Basholi gave his assurance to the citizens that the pollution from hydrocarbon residue will be put to an end. The schools in Korça and Pogradec are functioning without heat this winter, just like the schools here in Tirana. Kids who are attending these schools are having to bundle up tight in coats and scarves just to attend class. The lack of heat in schools has been denounced by the Democratic Party in Korça. They accuse the mayor of embezzlement, claiming that the funds have been used to build the tower in the center of Korça while the kids are learning in the cold. Because of the low temperatures, schools have reduced all the class times by 5 to 10 minutes. The students in Pogradec are being asked to raise money in order to provide heat for their schools. Even though his own country is going through very difficult times, the ambassador of France has no plans to postpone any of his work here in Albania. A new Paris to Tirana airline is expected to begin in March 2015. The French ambassador had this to say: "Today's meeting comes at a difficult moment for France. Although the meeting might have been canceled, we decided to hold it in order to announce the new initiative. This airline is a good opportunity to attract French visitors to Albania, and also a good opportunity to increase the incomes for both countries." The Albanian Minister of Tourism says that the airline will create an opportunity for French tourists to come and visit Albanian attractions. She hopes that this will bring revenue to our country. Thank you for watching the English Flash News Edition. Please join us again tomorrow for more translated news. Thanks and good night.